Yo, guys, welcome back again today. And today we have a very, very special guest by the name of Amaya. And she is a author, a poet, and an educator. So today we're going to have an interview with her. You guys know how I like to do. I like to bring you guys very, very, how can I say, creative Black people around the world. So we're just going to get right into it today. So how are you doing today, Amaya?
I am doing well. How are you, Amaya Sunn?
Amaya's son. I'm sorry. Look, I'm messing up already.
It's all good. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I really appreciate your time with us and spending your time with us. I know you're a very busy woman.
No problem. I'm excited. It's gonna be
Me
fun.
too. Me too. I think it's going to be dope. So let me ask you a question. When did you first realize that you wanted to be a writer? I know that a lot of people write, but when was the first time that you realized that you wanted to be a writer?
So I wrote my first poem when I was 10, and so I guess that was the moment that I discovered that I had this gift that I just, really loved because like when I wrote, I just felt like I was in another space and time, and I could just disconnect from whatever was happening around me. So I would say like it wasn't like a conscious thing, like oh I'm gonna be a writer when I grow up, but it was
Right.
like the first moment that I realized I had this like special gift. So yeah, I guess 10, and then from there it evolved.
No, that's actually dope. I sort of kind of ride that same pattern to where it's like nothing was really said. It was just like it just happened.
Yeah, it's happened.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So, how long do you think it takes to write a book? Like, I mean, let's say for instance, since you're a writer, you wrote your first book. I know it might be different for everybody, but how long does it take you to write a book? Because for me personally, I'm more like I might start writing, then I'm like I take off for a couple weeks till I get inspiration, then I write again.
Yeah. I think also it really depends on what kind of writer you are because there's so many different, types of books. Like, are you a fiction writer, like a novelist, are you a poet? Are you writing about, commentary about the world? But for me, I guess I could speak for just being a poet and having this collection of poems. It took me, I think, a total of like 2 years to finish it. And it
Ah,
took me 2 years because it was, uh, it is, like you said, it's off and on. So you go through periods where you have immense inspiration and you're just like able to, oh, this is so awesome. And then you're also just doing life, juggling your own emotions and different
exactly.
things. And then it's also like a mental battle to complete something. That fear, I think, of actually finishing something and putting it out, you
I
kind
agree.
of prolong that process. So it depends. For some folks, it takes them like 3 months to complete their book. For some, it takes them years. So I think as creatives, there's no way we can necessarily put a timeline. Like when you finish your work, whenever it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I definitely agree because like you said, like I was writing one time when I first had an idea, I told you about the movie script I'm writing and I was writing it and then like for 3 weeks I'm like, yeah, this is about to be a hit. And then like I haven't wrote for like 3 months now, you know what I'm saying? So like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so
that's
but I exactly, but I think it's good sometimes to take your time. I think a lot of times people and I used to think the same thing. You can correct me if I'm wrong since you've actually completed a book, but I used to think like oh no, I gotta write it like within 5 months or 4 months or whatever. But what I noticed is that the more that I let time pass, the more creative and the more kinks I can work out. Would you agree that that's a good way to write a book, I guess?
I think like I just tweeted, time is the most valuable and the most powerful thing. So
Right.
I always believe that like with art, you just like you can't rush art. I think also if you're doing the type of work that's introspective, it has
Right.
to do with your story and with your journey. And so in life, we go through a certain set of experiences that help us to create the content that we create. And so I think time is really, really important to be able to like look at your work, take to write, take a step back, come back to it, and then see, hey, like we were talking about earlier, like where do I, what do I have in front of me? Like now the editing process starts. You've like
Right. Right.
everything, you've like vomited it out and like, you're like, oh, okay. So then now the second phase of the work is the editing process, which is like a whole other world. And so as you're saying with writing is really just honing your craft of writing, because for me, like I'll have 5 chapters in the book. So it's endurance, oneness, creation.
Right.
Look at, I forgot all of my, let me, hold on.
Yo, look at you. Yo, look at you. You forgetting your own book, yo. I'm making nervous over here. I'm playing.
Like each, surrender. So each of the chapters in the book have its own theme and its own story. But I didn't like start off going, oh, okay, I'm going to write about this. Like this chapter is going to be about this theme. I had to kind of like look at my work, dissect the work, like organize it, see like, hey, this is like my spirit talking, and the artist is going to come in and like and construct and be like, oh, this is what my spirit is saying. And so there's like, the book is like 185 pages. So there's like so many poems that didn't make it into the book. And so that's another thing too, is like, really, really editing and breaking down. And that's its own process.
So would you say that is your, would you say that that is your quirk of like how you write? Like, I mean, do you approach everything like, because I approach it like everything like, hey man, I got an idea. Like, some people, they're structured. I'm very structured, but when it comes to like being creative, how can I say this? I'm structured when it comes to the actual end goal of the whole story or whatever, the whole video, but going about it,
Yeah.
I'll be piecing it together sometimes. Like, I'm like, I know I want this at the end of the day, but I'm just like piecing these things together. And when I get to the end, I'm like, okay, I put them all together and this brings out my vision. I'm sorry for being long-winded, but
no.
would you say that is your quirk? Like, that's how you write?
I think for this book, that was definitely my creative process, and even with other work I've done, I would say that is the case too, where I am very structured, and I like things to be a certain way, and
right.
I like order.
Right.
There's the other side of me that's the artist, that's just kind of like floaty and all over the place and just channeling and letting things,
Me too.
And so I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to combine those two parts of myself and like, make this baby that's my first book. So yeah, that's definitely my writing process.
I agree, and I think that that's a dope way to go about it, because it's like organized chaos. Yeah, that's like
that's what it is. Organized chaos. Yep.
Organized chaos. So when you write a book, like, where do you get your ideas and like your information for your book? Do you get them from everywhere around you? Because I pull from creativity from everything I see around the world. And see, I'm into a lot of things. Like, I'm into cars, I'm into animes, I'm into different foods and different cultures. So sometimes I like to think that my creative process is actually easier than other people, because I can pull from so many worlds. I'm like, oh, I saw this. Like, I seen this Asian guy do this. Like, maybe I should do this. Or I seen like in the anime like this. Maybe I should do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think for me it's always reading other artists is the first thing. So I'm reading other writers like, like James Baldwin, Sonia Sanchez, and my peers like Nair Wahid. But also, just being a writer, you have to be a person that observes. So I get inspiration everywhere.
It's so funny. I told somebody, like, you can learn from every aspect of life. And I told, like, I was on one of my lives and I was like, yo, everybody go outside and like look at an ant. Like, just find an ant on the ground. I know it's really minute, it's really small. I mean, there's smaller things in this world than an ant, but I'm just saying, like, an ant is a very small thing that you can see. But it's like, even an ant can give you inspiration and show you what life is, right? Whether it's patience, perseverance, whatever it might be, whatever. So I agree. I get inspiration from everything in this world, just like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's dope. So let me ask you another question. What do you like to do when you're not writing? So like when you're not writing, like when you're just chilling, when you're just relaxing, hanging out, like what do you like to do?
What do I like to do? Well, I teach young people.
Hey.
Yeah, I teach writing to young people. I'm also like a mentor to young girls, and we do like workshops around self-esteem. around, their history as Black and brown people.
Yeah, no, I agree because I think that it's a really important thing for younger kids to see, like a black woman as a role model, especially, one that writes books, and not maybe the stereotypical thing. I mean, of course, there's been a lot of black women that write books, but it's not everything like it's not an everyday common thing. I feel like when it's like, oh, I want to be like a writer when it comes to like a little black girl or a little black boy, you know what I'm saying? So I think that that's a dope thing. And also, yo, they've been trying to get me to cut my hair forever, but I ain't doing it. So that's why I love that you have your natural hair, because as black kids grow up, they need to see that it's okay to be themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's sad that we went through hundreds of years, especially in America, where it's like, yo, you're not good enough. Your hair's not good enough. It's ugly. It's this. It's that. You can't do this. You can't do that. So I agree. That's dope.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of the poems in my book have to do with embracing our blackness and
Right.
allowing ourselves to be in our natural state and not be ashamed of it, because that's a result of white imperialism, and we've
Of
all
course.
dealt with it. We've all had to, whether you're on the continent of Africa or the Western Hemisphere.
Right.
Colonialism is a global thing, and
Of course.
so for my young people, it's funny because I have one group of girls that are mainly Dominican and Puerto Rican, so they would straighten their hair. They would straighten their hair when I first started with them, and just them seeing me wearing my natural hair, I would slowly see them not going to the salon every week and allowing their natural curls to grow out and like not perming their hair anymore. So that is, I think, like what you said, it's really important. They have to visually see it. You have to
Exactly.
have an example of someone who's actually, living that life and doing it.
Yep.
So that, hey, I love myself fully for who I am, regardless of, what society you think, or even my own family. I
Right.
grew up in a Habitat family, so it's always like, oh, you have nice hair. You should be straightening your hair. That's what I grew up with. Like, bro, you
Yeah.
have like, I don't. Your hair looks crazy. It looks, that was always what people
Yeah. Yeah. They did.
like. Your hair looks crazy. Like, why don't you just straighten it? God blessed you with good hair. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
no, I don't
yeah.
want.
No, I agree because like I still, not a lot of people, but I still have people in my family. They're like, oh my God, like why don't you, for a man it's different. It's like cut your hair. You know what I'm saying? Unless you live on the West Coast or you like a pimp from the Midwest in Ohio, and there still are a lot of them here. Yo, but like you might perm your hair like Cat Williams or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not that, like you're not really the stereotype for men is like, yo, I mean, the route for men is like, yo, cut your hair. So I've even had people tell me, I had this girl. It was funny because I'm glad you said that about Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. I have a lot of Afro Puerto Rican friends and Afro Dominican friends here, and I remember one of my Afro Dominican friends. She told me when I saw her at the store, she was like, "Yo, cut your hair. It's time for you to grow up. Cut your hair. Like you're very handsome, you're very intelligent, but it's time for you to be professional. Cut your hair." And I told her, yo, mommy, I'm not cutting my hair. You know what I'm saying? Like I really like leaned there. I was like, yo, I'm not cutting my hair because I think that, like you said, there's a stereotype amongst the whole black world around the world, and the Afro Latino community, the African American, the African, Afro European, Afro Asian, whatever. I think there's a stereotype is that to be successful means that you have to conform to somebody else's culture, which is not our culture. You know what I'm saying? This is our culture. What me and you are doing right now, that's our culture.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely.
So
Yeah, and I think with this new generation coming up, I think things are definitely changing.
right.
Especially with, the natural hair movement and like this whole idea of folks creating their own reality by being creative, which is what
Exactly.
I was talking about before. And we're seeing more of that, I think, with the younger folks.
I agree. I agree. I agree. So let me ask you this. What was one of the most surprising things that you learned when you were creating your book? Was there anything that you were surprised about?
Good question. Um, I guess I was surprised that I finished it.
Right. Yeah. You know what?
But
I love
yeah,
that you
I
said
was
I'm sorry.
like, you know what? Good job. Because there were moments where I was like, I don't think this is gonna happen. But
That's what I was gonna say. That's a good answer because I'm the same way. I'm like, wow, I actually got this done. That's what I was so surprised about.
yeah, and also I'll definitely say because um I made it intentional. Like when I write, I just it's not even it's something I think about. Like I allow myself to be vulnerable. So in the writing process, I was like talking about a lot of things from my past and things that were kind of difficult to bring up again.
Right.
But I realized that through that process, I was really able to heal, and that was, I think, for me, really surprising. It was like, oh, wow, like this is more than just like a book that I'm putting out there. Like this book did so much for my progression and evolution as a woman,
Exactly.
and helping me to like reconcile a lot of stuff. So
No, I agree. That's really that's actually really interesting because it is a process and it's like a journey. And that book is probably very therapeutic, to be honest with you.
yeah, art is therapeutic, definitely. I would say, like the class that I teach currently now at the organization I work for is called the Writers Collective, and
Okay.
it's very much, rooted in that idea of like we're creating this safe space together,
Mhm.
and that your writing is a way for you to not only use your voice, and not only use your voice in a way to help society, but also it's for you. It's therapeutic. It's for you to heal. It's for you to like understand yourself. It's for you to be able to move on from things that may be hard to maybe talk about, or deal
Right.
with things that's hard to like talk about, because people are it's hard for them to you know confront and deal with certain things in like the normal way of conversation. That's why
Exactly. Yeah.
art is so powerful, because art is that medium that allows you that.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree because when throughout my life, I've been going through hard times, and like the last 2 years have been very hard for me in a poor situation that I won't say, but I'm just saying that creating and being creative is very therapeutic. When I make videos and when you guys come on here with me, I really appreciate your time. But when you guys make videos and I can create, I noticed that that helped me get through that rough patch that I had in my life. So
Mm,
you're very right about that. You're very right about that.
yeah.
So my last question I'm going to ask you, because I know you're a very busy woman, do you have any suggestions to help me become a better writer, or anybody that's watching to become a better writer? Like, what would your suggestions be about that?
I think I would say to always, no matter what, um, no matter where you reach, whatever point you reach in your career, to always be a student and to always seek,
Right.
and to I think it's good to get feedback. It's good to get other people to give you perspective on your work. But I think it's also really important to know as an artist what you will receive and what you won't receive. Like what resonates with you and you'll take in, and what doesn't resonate with you and that you won't take in.
Right.
And
Right.
then,
I agree.
of course, is like to read other writers as well, um, and to also form a community as well with other
Uh,
writers who can be there with you in the process, and affirm your work and give you feedback, like I said. Yeah.
got you, got you, got you. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna actually, before we go, I'm gonna actually let you plug your book and plug all your social medias so people can follow you because I really want people to pick up this book. I think it's a very, very dope book. Yo, I get a copy, right? You know what I'm saying? I get a
I
copy.
think to send you that copy. It's coming. It's
It's
coming.
coming. Of course. Hey, you know what I want? All I want is you to just sign it and just give me. I want to give me like a personal message only for
You'll get
me.
a signed copy. I,
Yeah, but I want a personal message only for me in that after that signed copy because you know why? Because I know you're going to be famous one day, and I got to make sure that I get the first book.
Aw, thank you. But this is actually, if I can real quickly,
Of course.
this is my book. Um, it's called Things Unsaid, and so if you notice, the writing is in Ge'ez,
Yes.
and
Which,
Ge'ez is it's an ancient language that
yep.
the Abyssinian people, which where I come from, in Eritrea, Ethiopia, that is this is our alphabet.
Yep.
And so that was something very intentional that I did. I was like, I'm not going to have it be in English. I had so many people tell me, but nobody understands what that means. Like, what's the point? But and this symbol here is like a period in our Yeah.
Because guess is very important. Like there's only very few people that know how to read it anymore. It's a very ancient
Yeah.
language of like.
Ge'ez is like, well, they use it in the church. The Orthodox Church
Yeah.
uses it, but from Ge'ez descends two languages, which is Tigrinya and Amharic.
Yes.
So my family is from the north, northern Ethiopia and Eritrea. So
Right.
so things unsaid is Zeta Bahla. That's how you say it, is Zeta Bahla. But yeah, so things unsaid. Let's see it. A book of poetry. You can find it on my website, amayasunn.com. You can find me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at amayasunn. So it's AMAYASUNN.
And you know, it's funny.
You can buy it on Amazon as well.
Exactly. You know, the funny thing is I typed it so many times today. I'm like, I remember how to spell your name and like your email and everything. But also, I want you, before we go too, also I want you, one last thing is to say say anything you would like to say to all the people of African descent all around the world. So in the Caribbeans, in Latin America, well, Central South America, Africa, Asia, like, is there anything you want to say to like all the Black people around the world?
I love you. And you know, we're such a beautiful people. We're so diverse. We are so, so resilient. I get emotional thinking about it because I think as a people, we've been through so much.
Exactly.
And our history and our culture is so rich. And I think with everything that's happening right now politically, I mean, racism has always existed.
Right.
Whoever is in power or whatever is only bringing out what has always been there. But
Right.
I think now more than ever, we have to really come together and unite and like share our stories, share our strengths, because we all have different strengths and we all have, even though as people we are one people, there's so many different cultures within that.
Of course. Yep.
So I think we're moving into an era now where we can, we can bring, we can coalesce and bring all of that together. And so I think I'm hopeful for us as a people. I think our time is here as a people.
Right. Hey, we here now, yo. We here.
So just and shout out to everyone who is giving back to the community, like, and who's really about it in whatever capacity that may be. Like, I do youth work and I'm like on the ground working with youth, mentoring youth. You might have a lawyer that does like pro bono work, right?
Exactly.
For cases for families that can't really afford it, or whatever it is that her role is, or even just contributing money to an organization or a cause. But I think like now more than ever, our focus should be on that and healing as a people and uniting as a people.
No, I definitely agree. And like you said, I always tell people all the time before we go that, we have to look at this like a kingdom or empire, to where it's like, or countries where it's like everybody's not going to do the same thing. Everybody's not going to be Malcolm X. Everybody's not going to be, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to be a lawyer. Everybody's not going to be a doctor, but we need all those people to create a powerful nation. We can't just create a nation with just warriors, or we can't just create a nation with just doctors. You need all those people. So whatever way you can contribute, whether it's talking to a young kid on the block or, becoming a politician or whatever it might be, whatever you want to do, contribute.
Absolutely. I second that.
Exactly. So, guys, I really appreciate her time. Until next time, guys, always follow her. Definitely. She's a dope individual. Always follow me on all my social medias, which is Afric Network, which is also, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, and Snapchat. Follow me, Afric Network. Until next time, each one teach one. Always love each other, always learn about each other, and always be kind to each other. You know what I'm saying? And
kindness, please.
Exactly. I had to think about that one for a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you guys be kind to each other. And guys, until next time, peace. One love.
Yo, what up, kiddos? So my new brand website is up. It's finally up after 2 months. johannesbrand.com. Go there, check it out. You can buy apparel. You can get videography, photography, work done by me. So go check it out.
What's up?
Hey.
Shalom.
What up?
Hi.
Africa.
move it to you. Can I? Let me move it to